Well, we're back when we promised, didn't we?
We sure
nice.
did promise, didn't we?
I get it.
Get that? That's the thing that
There
is
is
said in the game.
There is something I've been wanting to say to you all week long. Go birds.
Go birds.
Go birds.
Go birds.
Hey, it's that weird bird again.
More so than usual, go birds.
Oh, wait. Changing the Philadelphia Eagles flag into Minerva from FF13. Remind me to do this later.
Yeah, the Fanatic and the Fanatic and Minerva combined to make
Okay, so we need
Orphan. For Gritty. Gritty is Orphan, right?
I was going to say, like, how do we do...
You have the god
like,
and the goddess, and they're both, like, stroking Gritty in the middle. Like,
Gritty in the middle.
Yeah.
Gritty did also come from below. Is like lore was like living under the city or something like that.
Yeah, like the lore for Gritty is that he's like an eldritch horror. Like that was been he predates the building of the stadium and has lived under the earth of it for years and was just discovered in like 2016 or 2017 or whatever it is.
Ancient burial ground type shit.
Fuck yeah. I'm not looking forward to fighting Gritty in one of the later missions of the game because I feel like it's going to be like a real just fucking HP sponge and just you can't use Imperil on him.
What did we do last week? What have we done?
We beat the game, technically. Well,
that's true.
Not yet.
I mean,
did
we may as well have beaten the game. I
mean, we'll get into that.
Yeah, when you beat fucking Sephiroth with wings, have you beaten the game? Pretty much.
I don't think you can lose that follow-up fight.
You can't.
I'm pretty sure you can lose this fight.
You can.
I'm pretty sure I almost lost this fight.
No.
So we surprisingly blasted through the cradle, given how like big it seemed. I thought we were gonna like spend like a whole episode just talking about the cradle, but we blasted through the cradle, no problem. Got to the cool white room. And now
I love that cool white room. You want to just talk about that again for 30 minutes?
Yeah, I want to go back
Let's
to
go
that
back
cool
to the Parnex.
White room.
Yeah, the narthex.
I feel like, I mean, this game's from Japan, and I would imagine that a waiting room like that might be playing a little bit of T-Square, perhaps some Cassiopeia.
Oh my goodness.
Just a little smooth jazz going.
Maybe the video of Fight Man by T-Square and Cassiopeia.
Yo, fuck yeah.
Best of both worlds.
That's my favorite Mega Man boss, is Fight Man. It's got the best theme because it was composed by Cassiopeia and T-Square.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, we fought Bart, and then Bart decided to fuse with Orphan, who was sneeping in the pool.
Right.
He was.
They became, what, a giant fucking sword?
He's like, how about we try that again, fucko?
That's right. Yeah, and I guess at this point...
He manipulated Fang into trying to kill him also.
Yeah. Which Fang did not, probably because she relented after having memories of her travels with her friends.
Or the power of the homies brought her
the power of homies
trying
compels
to kill God.
There's also lore, and it's potential whether she did it or with the help of, because the original reason that like Ragnarok failed to destroy Cocoon the last time was that Etro interfered.
Veered Ragnarok off course by interfering.
So it's possible that because we're getting essence of Etro in this all up in this scene, that she might have been like, yeah,
it's a we're not doing fucking phrase.
Yeah,
essence of Etro
by Calvin Klein.
Maybe she's born with it.
Maybe it's essence of Etro. Yeah, you're gonna have. So, Alex, I am to understand that in the last week, in the interim, you've read some philosophy about what happens at the end of FF13.
Yeah, so in the Ultimania Omega, there is like the first like half of it is just the events that happen, and so I was like, oh, I wonder if there's anything like happens after. And then, yes, there is. There is just like 5 pages of like, hey, so here's what happened, we think, because again, this is not officially written by Square. It's like published by Square Enix, but written by like another team, and there's kind of like their interpretation for what they know.
Good fucking
And then
God.
between this and then a Reddit post from like last year, I was like, I think I have a better understanding of what happened, because
Weirdly, the Square book uses more slurs than the Reddit post, which is shocking to me.
Yeah, it was real weird.
I like the idea of this secondary Square team, like walking into the FF13 offices after FF13's been made, like the fucking like the team from the movie Alien walking into the crashed ship, like they're in the derelict ship, like shining like flashlights around, and instead of like alien eggs, there's like detailed data about Etro's gate, and they're like, what the fuck happened here?
There's just like Mike Ehrmantraut from Breaking Bad type guy who's just like, okay, here's how you can fucking fix all this fucking stupid lore and make it concise and cohesive and make sense.
What you're gonna do is you're gonna release another game in 2 years, okay? We're gonna throw everything you know about the first one. Just going on. People are gonna forget all about this in 5 years.
It's dead.
Okay?
No one's definitely gonna make a podcast about it fucking over a decade later. Yeah, because we're getting ready to get to some questionable actions. Well, I guess we already have. We're already in the middle of it.
We're in the midst of all
we're pretty much like at the very end, like of it all.
Ooh, the end of it all.
And who are we?
Oh God, I know this one. I mean, we've been doing this for a couple years.
Hold on, I think I wrote this
we
down.
We are
in my
the
research.
Daycare Dittos.
That's
I'm
right.
Peter.
I'm Steven.
I'm Sarah? No, I'm David.
David. Yeah, we're every FNFF. You know by now.
You
probably,
know our friend Creepy Dave, Scareful David.
It was just the 4-year anniversary of Dave being wrongfully not accused isn't the word, but people thought that he was the developer of that Y2K game and posted about it on Reddit because he looks like the one character in it. So everyone calls Dave a self-insert dev of a game that he didn't develop. And then other people are like, oh, actually, he's not the dev. He's just a cosplayer.
I was like,
that is a picture of him before Y2K existed.
Yeah.
Apparently those devs are super nice, though. They like reach out to Dave all the time and talk to him and stuff. So
that's cool.
They should make a game about him.
Y3K.
Someone I tweeted about it, and someone was just like, the devs really nailed this character design, like with their intention of just being a guy that you immediately do not like when you first see him.
Oh no!
And I was like, I don't know what you're trying to say, because he's one of like literally the guy you're talking about is one of my best friends. Who
he's
everyone,
like the nicest
upon meeting
person in the
him,
entire world.
Anyone who meets Dave immediately loves him because he's the best.
I know.
But anyway, we should probably jump into
on
this.
You and Dave catching a Pokemon Blue at MagFest.
Oh yeah, hell yes.
Right.
Yeah, let's jump into it. Let's leap into it like some kind of leaping animal.
The gang is back. They were seethed and now they're deceased.
Yeah, which was questionable.
Deceased and deceased.
So what does the Reddit post say about their de-seething?
So
okay, here we go.
My understanding.
We're already ready.
Wait, no. I actually looked into this. The reason that it happened was it was all just smoke and mirrors.
Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
That's what Hope says. But the general interpretation, I think, is like Etro took pity on them in the end, in kind of, I don't know, like just that part of is like what they came back from. The same force that prevented Fang from becoming Ragnarok also just like de-poofed. The reason they turned the Seath in the first place is because they basically just failed their focus. They like completely resisted.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been doing that. Well, I was going to say, I guess I feel like we've been doing it that whole time, but it's really hard to say, like, what the fuck was our focus? Because every step of the way, it was just kind of Bartandalus, like, pulling us along.
Yeah.
The thing that the Ultimate does address is that, like, it goes back to, like, even the beginning of the Fal'Cie. Like, Bartandalus is basically, he made Cocoon kind of as a goal to kind of create, like, his own massive people he could eventually build up the population enough to kill, just enough to open this gate wide enough to go through himself.
Right.
It's kind of what it seemed like.
And find the Maker.
There was like a whole thing like during the War of Transgression that he actually was protecting Cocoons. Like, no, stop like attacking. Like, we don't want the...
Yeah, we don't
it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. It's not big enough. So it took a few hundred years for like it to get to a capacity where he was comfortable. Like, yes, kill it. We were ready now.
He was still preheating the oven. Well, he wasn't quite ready.
Had to go to 425 and at 350. He's like, I might as well just pop the pizza in now. You know, who's gonna know? I'm hungry now.
But it seems like the whole plot, is just saying like, oh yeah, Bartandalus is just doing this whole thing, like, including Orphan is in on it, in which their whole plan is to just kill Cocoon, whether or not. I think Bart was kind of like manipulating us to thinking that like Orphan is like this kind of separate thing from him, maybe.
Sure.
But it is the thing that powers Cocoon, and is actually, I think, leeching power from the other fal'Cie, which is why we saw maybe remnants of the other fal'Cie throughout the cradle. So it's actually gathering power from people and the fal'Cie and stuff like that. And in this next scene, I think we'll find out, yes, that Orphan's just the same as Bart. He just kind of lives, like, Bart is kind of the mediator between the people and the fal'Cie in a way. So I guess it makes sense why he was kind of the one that kind of has to bring us here. You can't just be Orphan, like, come and fight me, idiot.
I hate this game now.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess it's just a lot of this isn't explained too much, but yeah, it's just like, I get it.
For a game that did very little explaining the entire time, other than like the deep dives into the data log, it's like, yes, this is particularly not very well explained.
We need to get a Vati Vidya about the end of FF13.
But yeah, I'm curious about like the interpretation of what the actual focuses of the foci of our l'Cie team was.
We've heard them both ways. That's the most inconsistent thing about FF13. They keep saying focuses and foci.
But yeah, so we finished that fight. We saw some flashbacks after all the Seath shenanigans going on, and we kind of are now on Vanille's face, and she is finishing a thought of that she was having with Fang. Where she says that we promised, and last time we talked about it, it was like, you're not alone anymore. We have a new family now. We stick together. You hear me? That's what Fang said to Vanille. And now we're in the next scene, and Vanille saying that. That was fucking a clunky way of saying all of that.
That's good. Because, the l'Cie are standing before Orphan. Or actually, they're not standing before anybody right now. They're standing before Etro's gate.
Is that what they're on top of? Like the boss that we just killed who is now melting into it? Is that Etro's gate?
No, I think the boss, the thing behind it, the big eye-shaped thing is Etro's gate.
Yeah.
Which... Yeah, so I think what happened is that, they basically just caught Orphan off guard when he was monologuing. They were too busy torturing Fang or some shit.
Lit his ass up.
And it's like, I think because we noticed like he's had his shield up for a while and kind of like withstanding and hoping, I think, to coax Ragnarok out.
But interestingly now, we see like our party's kind of squaring up, and Snow is like got his dukes up, and we can see his brand, which now looks a lot like Fang's brand.
Yes,
it's been like bleached out.
Which makes sense for what you're saying, Alex, that if like
the Etro just like
is that Etro's
cancels
influence.
the focus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If we're interpreting Etro's motivations, like she's the goddess of death, by the way. Like she's the whole thing. That's why like Etro's gate is the gate to the afterlife, the underworld. So like they want to go through there. Either the fal'Cie want to get relief from their fucking like bondage as
they just like me for real. Every day I'm suffering.
There's l'Cie right here that could be like actually put an end to this whole cycle. So I'm gonna like pull them out and like put a blocker on their focus as well.
I feel like this whole game is a really good analogy for religion as a whole, because the whole thing with religion is just like, wait a second, that doesn't really make sense. So why is this happening? And then like if you talk to any scholar in the religion, they're like, well, the Lord works in mysterious ways. Like that's what faith is for. It doesn't make sense to our human brain, so you just believe. So I just believe that Final Fantasy XIII has a good story. But
well, Carl, you need two things. You need a long Reddit post and the Christianity ultimatum, Ultimania, whatever it's called.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny because like you're saying like Snow's squaring up and he's got that new brand, right? Or I guess
everyone has their own new brand. Yeah.
We also see Hope's peeking out from the little like handkerchief that he put around his brand to hide it, and everyone's just like, no more brand. And Vanille's kind of talking. She says, the brand of a l'Cie, the symbol of the focus we all faced, the mark of the fate we all shared.
Silence brand.
Proof of the promise we all made.
And I like that like everybody starts squaring up and delivering their like final lines like you have to do in a Final Fantasy as the boss is dying, presumably. He's like
melting into
screaming
the goo.
And melting, and they're like,
into the primordial
now we're gonna
goo.
do it. Yeah.
This is really the end of Dirge of Cerberus all over again, I feel.
Yeah, it makes a little less sense though. Snow, I hate what Snow says. He said, I was like, shut the fuck up, Snow. I get it, dude. He just says the heroes never die.
You know what? I'll give it to him because it's the end of the game. It's his thing. I get it.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I guess he had to. What else could he say? What yeah.
What else could he say? Exactly.
Really, it's my problem. I should just expect it. I should not expect better of him.
Old habits die hard. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he says, come on, we've got a world to save.
Mm-hmm. Hope says, if we have the power to destroy Cocoon, then we have the power to save it. You say you want your day of wrath? Well, it's coming right up. And I was like, oh, my boy, Hope. Get his ass.
That's a good point, though. Yeah, if we're like, if Bart thinks we can destroy Orphan, then like, obviously we can do something to like prevent this.
Yeah. And then
if this gun has the power to destroy this person, it also has the power to save this person.
And then Saz says something so fucking wild that does not work in this. Like, he says an action line, but it has nothing to do with what's happening right now.
Says, I'm getting too old for this shit.
He's getting too old for this shit. He says, time we give the people what they really want. And I'm like, that's like a news thing. It's like a entertainment thing that doesn't, I don't know if that really applies here.
Was that Rocky and Bullwinkle?
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at the Japanese, right? And I don't know all the end parts of it, but he says something about everybody's dreams. Like, this is everybody's dreams.
Let's make everyone's dreams come true.
That's a lot better. Instead of give the people what they want. It's like the end of that fucking James Bond movie, where it doesn't make sense there either.
It's a dream. It's like something out of a dream.
Yeah, but everyone's kind of just like, oh, we can do it. And Vanille says, let's make a real miracle happen. And Fang says, Lady Luck sure ain't on his side.
Yeah.
Talking about Orphan again?
Yeah.
Look, they had to finish the game. They were at the end of it.
They're like, everyone needs a quip.
Everyone needs a quip.
Get Joss Whedon in my office ASAP.
So it seems like they're anticipating another fight, even though they've like
even though there hasn't been an enemy appear yet. They're just like watching Orphan like die.
Yeah. As she says that, she kind of steps up and swings her lance around, all cool, getting ready for phase 3, I guess.
Yeah.
This is Orphan 2.
Yeah.
And
Barais is from the water in front of Etro's gate. The real Orphan, who's awoken, I guess newly orphaned, which is, I guess, the kind of point of the name. Because he killed his parents or something.
I guess, but I mean, he was called Orphan when he was with his parents. That doesn't really make sense. It's like future Orphan. Like,
I will say that I do like, there's one piece of camera work as Orphan, like, final Orphan rises up from the pool that's really cool. Actually, I guess I should describe what Orphan looks like, too. Before I get into the camera,
it's a big fidget spinner.
He's a big fidget spinner. So he's like he's that weird baby face that we saw in the middle of the last version of Orphan, but now outside of his like golden disc, there's also a detached halo of like spines.
We saw this disc actually behind the first form of Orphan as well.
Oh, really?
It's not really. It wasn't really a focal point at that point.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of like gears that move the halo around, right?
Yeah.
That are attached to like his center disc. And what I was going to say I like about the camera is that when he raises up from the pool, there's a moment where the camera's locked to one of the spinning spines, and it's like very disorienting and it's very cool. And I was like, ooh, that's a nice little touch. So it's actually quite nice. And when he raises up, he's right in front of Etro's gate in a way that makes him look like the pupil to an eye, because because Etro's gate looks like the
focus. It's all coming to focus.
No,
it's a really cool design for sure. I do like the look of it. It's again very, like everything from the Sanctum, very like ornate, very it looks like in Catholicism when they have like the tabernacle or whatever that has the Eucharist in it for like safe storage because it's got some god bullshit going on or whatever.
It's got some god bullshit.
Very similar, like just ornate gold like gears with like faces on them, like spinning around and stuff, like almost like clockwork. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, and the way like his like disc spins is and like we talked about in the cradle that everything was very clock-like, and Orphan is extremely clock-like as well, because like when his outer disc spins, it stops like a second hand would, where it like goes chunk 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 like over and over. It was kind of neat. It was very clock-like in that way. So he's a bunch of stuff. He's the pupil to an iris to an eye, and also a clock, and also a weird baby face that fucking talks like a clown.
Has a cool Gwendolyn crown on as well.
Oh, he does.
Oh, yeah.
Indeed.
Orphan says you overreach yourselves.
Wait, do you want to do the voice? Do the voice.
I don't know how to do the voice. You can do the voice if you want.
You overreach yourselves.
Basically, he sounds like Griffin McElroy. I don't know if I said that on the podcast, but he just sounds like a Griffin McElroy character.
He does.
Yeah.
You overreach yourselves.
No, we overreach you.
Is that so?
You don't believe in anything.
Lightning totally fucking burns his ass with a great comeback that makes perfect sense. She says, "No, we overreach you."
Yeah, let's hold on.
That's real fucking playground shit. Like, takes one to know what, like, fucking what?
Because I'm okay. So I typed in overreach definition, right? And like to see it be used in a sentence. And there are multiple usages for different words, obviously, if you've ever looked at the dictionary. And the bottom one, the bottom definition of overreach is to get the better of somebody through cunning. And you can use it in such a way to say like, oh, you overreach someone else. So
It's
that's
like, oh yeah, you're too smart for you're smarter than you think is what it's saying. You're like, no, man, we're too smart for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I feel like it's just, maybe this is just clunky localization.
It's still weak as hell, I will say.
It reminds me of in Inuyasha, there's this like translation thing that I always think of where Inuyasha calls Jockin, I think is the little like toad guy that hangs out with his brother. Like he calls him stupid or something. And instead of being like, no, you're stupid, like a normal conversation, they kind of just take the Japanese and translate it perfectly and goes, you're who's stupid. And it's just like, okay, like,
Yeah,
I guess technically by definition it does work, but it's not.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me
Great.
wrong. This stood out to me too, where I was like, "Ooh, no, we overreach you."
And Orphan says, is that so? And
Nice
Lightning's just
comebacks,
like,
everybody. You really knocked it out of
yeah,
the park.
really bringing your A game for the pentultimum. I can't even fucking speak. I have no right
That's
to
all right.
judge this game.
Yeah, I was gonna say we belong here.
Reading this off the script is
Man,
making
this game
me
doesn't
dumber.
English good at all. But the next few lines are pretty cool. I think,
I do like the next line.
Yeah.
You don't believe in anything. You gave up on life before you were even born. Sat poisoning Cocoon from the inside, waiting for someone to come and destroy you. Sure, you think the end of the world is salvation. All you care about is death's release. So take it, and leave the rest of us alone.
I love that line.
Yeah, we don't think like that. When we think there's no hope left, we keep looking until we find some. Maybe Cocoon is past saving, but it's our home, and we'll protect it or die trying. We live to make the impossible possible, which
That's the good one.
that is like, we've been complaining about the weird clunkiness of like the end of the game and the specifics, and as like a podcast about a show, we want to be as specific and like have a nice storybook explanation for everyone that we just don't have. But I think this is a really good line.
Yes.
Because that's the point.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I
all the
agree.
other shit doesn't really matter. It's not great that it's clunky, but it's like, this is the thing. It's like, you are a god, and this is all like your purpose, and like you're just very binary in that way. But the thing about humans is, even when we have no hope, we will continue trying to fight on in a way that gods could not do and can't understand, because they're just like, oh, my word is absolute. This is all written. And it's like, no, we're going to fight against that.
Yeah, and I especially like that the last line before the very last fight in the game is that we live to make the impossible possible, because the entire game thus far has been like, there is no chance. There's no way out of it.
Then she says that is our focus.
That is
that is our focus. That's
yeah,
right.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like the Japanese one that said like that this is a human mission, which it makes sense, because the thing with
Oh yeah.
a lot of literature and fiction about like just death in general, like the thing about death is it makes life, sacred. It gives us things. We feel grief and loss, so that's why we're fighting for this. We have stakes.
Right.
Gods don't really have stakes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really good. And the way like the last scene right before I guess the next to last camera angle before the fight begins is really cool, where it shows like all the Lassie in the bottom right side of the screen, and Lightning standing out in front of him, pointing her sword at Orphan as it's like towering above them. And that's when she's like, oh, this is our focus. And I'm like, oh, that's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
So it's very
And
good.
you
That's
see
actually
everyone do cool little moves to like get like fighting fit, like
I
Saz is
love it.
spinning his
I love
guns
it.
around, and
It's so good.
Vanille just cutely
Psyched
like
up.
kind of waves her wand a little bit, and
Just
Snow
like she
just
did in the
does
very,
like
when she first got it, like, ha
Snow does like the rock thing of pointing his hand out and like beckoning someone to come on.
Oh,
Like,
dude, Snow is having a great time too.
yeah,
He
Snow's
is, like,
fucking loving it.
He is loving it.
I mean, it's not every
get
day
some.
you get to punch a baby god in the face. I would be pretty
That's
stoked
just
too.
true. Yeah.
So I realized this while editing last episode that this whole last stretch of the game kind of reminds me of 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is also about humanity and stuff like that. And their gods kind of, or higher beings kind of put it testing us, which the Orphan's Cradle reminded me of like the streaking like trip through Jupiter's ring or whatever, that whole like ending psychedelic sequence. Yeah. And then we end up in a white room, which is like supposed to look like what higher beings think, that like, oh yeah, this is luxurious space for humans. Like if you look at the scene in 2001 where he like wakes up in the white room, with like ornate furniture everywhere, really uncanny paintings,
you know,
and then there's a baby at the end.
You know what's so wild is that like,
and now we get to fight the baby of 2001.
I mean, that's like, I'd almost be surprised if that wasn't on purpose.
I feel like it's got to be somewhat inspired by it. Like that.
I didn't realize it until like, oh wait a second, there's like some parallels here. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I didn't even think of that either, and that's like, it's almost so 1-to-1. It's nice.
Except that the baby does not get destroyed at the end of 2001.
That's fair.
Space baby. My God, it's full of stars. And the baby screams because like, oh shit, I got owned.
Oh yeah, no, Orphan just starts screaming before like the actual battle begins. It's just like, rah! Like screaming. And then we are in a battle, the final battle with Orphan.
With Orphan, yeah. We can imperil it and we can de-shell it and do some other fun stuff to it.
Fuck yeah, you can.
This music rules.
Oh yeah, the music's so good.
It is really fucking good.
It's true. Yeah, so
cool little piano riffs.
This fight isn't too bad. It's we were talking about it earlier. You probably can die on it, but if you are careful and you don't like overreach yourself, then it's not too bad, right? It's immensely doable.
Oh man, the orb that contains Orphan's head, I didn't really realize until rewatching back that it spins around backwards, and sometimes there's an eye that turns into like a grinning mouth.
Yes, it's a really creepy grinning mouth.
Real disturbing.
On the back of him. Yeah.
So I think the basic like premise of this fight is just it's completely immune to taking any damage until you stagger it, right?
Right. Possibly if you imperil it, it can, just because of the way
No,
because
I have it imperiled and everything is just being blocked. Like it has the weaknesses and stuff, but it's not until you actually get it into a stagger that you can actually do any kind of damage to it.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't do any damage to it.
And then you can, like with imperil and all of that stuff, you can really melt him down.
I mean, solid 9s all the way through, yeah.
Yeah. His stagger goes up pretty quick as well, and it doesn't take much to get him staggered.
Once he staggers,
the big thing is that Doom is cast on lightning, and there's for me it was like 4,000 like Doom units or whatever the fuck. Like,
4,000 Doom units.
Oh no, got doomed. When does he transform into his second like kind of design?
Yeah, once you stagger him, he turns into to like a different design, right?
Yeah, he's got like
instead of a disc, it looks like kind of a seethy, cloaky kind of frame. It actually looks a little bit more like the gate.
Oh, maybe I was thinking it's like angelic wings almost.
It is angelic wings. Yeah, you're right. But it looks like it's carved out of like glass or something like that.
Yeah.
But he also has little arms now, and a little butt like Dahaka.
I think it's also interesting too because he looks like your typical kind of like floating type enemy, but you can actually launch Orphan.
Yeah, wow. You can.
Just uppercut this guy.
But awesome. Interestingly enough, according to Zwanzig, that this is the only enemy in the game that can still attack you while it's launched. So
oh, really?
You can launch it, but you don't really get the benefits that you would typically get from launch, I guess.
Do you know what Orphan is not impervious to?
What's that?
Death.
Death? Really? That's amazing.
Like the battle goes so fast anyway that I feel like you would waste your time trying to get death to stick. But technically, you could instant death him, which I think is very funny.
That is pretty funny. Yeah. After he's done being staggered, he gets a bunch of buffs, so he can do way more damage. He can, his physical and his magic attack goes up, and he has haste as well. So he can, if you don't kill him after the first stagger, he definitely gets more difficult. And this is actually what I think ended up making me get close to dying to the Doom counter, because I was just kind of in like defense mode. I first tried him because obviously, but like I was so panicked with the last fight that I was just like, okay, I gotta heal everyone up to full. I gotta be ready for everything. Like he's got an attack where like his weird eye thing opens up and he's got a weird like Mercury giant hand that just comes out and like smacks you all.
Oh yeah, it's true. Yeah.
It's like a Seath arm, but
He also has a move called Temporal Hollow, where if you don't stagger him in 70 seconds, he'll just reset his chain gauge back to zero.
That also is what happened to me. I didn't know what was going on at first, and I was just like, again, very easy to get his chain up. So if you like go into this fight and you're just like, the thing is, get the chain up, stagger him, and attack him. It's not a problem, but you're on a ticking clock, so if you see Temporal Hollow and he's, buffing himself and everything, it can get a little difficult, but it's basically a victory lap.
Yeah. I was able to do it in 1:10, so it wasn't bad. He goes down pretty quick. Just one stagger. But like when Fang was attacking during stagger, it was like solid 9s across the board. So
yeah.
Because I had like a fully powered up 2nd level weapon and stuff.
he has some Cocoonian text on his upper like.
Oh, you're right.
On the top, and I think it just says something more about Ragnarok, like poor stray child Ragnarok or something like that.
I didn't notice his little weird hands, and now that you've pointed them out to me, I do not like it.
What is
he looks like a tiny Dahaka if you look at his design, because he has like the little tiny claws and like he has a bead butt, like looks like a bee.
Oh, he does. He has a little stinger butt. Well, I don't like that at all.
Oh yeah, so when I was doing it, the reason I almost died is I got temporal hollowed twice in a row.
Oh,
so like
okay.
the clock was going down, and it's like I just needed one more stagger, but I was playing it too safe. So I like didn't realize until late like what was going on, and then I'm like, oh, I just need to fucking be relentless and get his stagger up, and then we're fine.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that's Orphan. Yeah, he's not too bad.
I'm gonna see what my Doom counter was at when I finally killed him. One sec.
I will say that launching a boss is very fun, especially
it
the final
very fun
boss.
and very cute. I had like maybe under 100 left on my Doom clock when I.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah, let's see. Lightning was doing Power of One, or Army of One, I mean. Yeah, it was like 150, like 125.
Oh my god.
114 is the final one. So
oh my god.
So target time for me was 2 minutes and 53 seconds, and my battle duration was 6 minutes and 52 seconds, I believe. I guess the Doom clock means you can only get to 7 minutes, I would assume.
Oh, maybe so. Yeah.
So I got a solid 0-star, 0 score fight out of this free fucking final fight.
I think I got pretty lucky where I stuck him with all the debuffs immediately. They just like worked, and then just went in on him. And I also set up before I did the last 3 fights, even though I haven't been using it for any other boss, I did have Try Disaster. So after sticking him with those, it was just like Try Disaster, boom, 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 boom. Is stagger bar is up. Good to go.
Yeah. Noticeably, after we kill him, we get the final Crystarium upgrade.
Crystarium expanded. What's that all about?
Yeah.
This is the final boss. How can that be?
What could that possibly mean?
Oh my goodness.
What could that possibly mean?
Basically, like we alluded to or said straight up on previous episodes, this is for post-game stuff where you get one more level where it just kind of, it's pretty expensive, all the shit, like a lot of the things to unlock towards like the end of the next level of the Crystarium are like 60,000 CP in order to unlock. But the last thing that you get is a roll level increase. And you also just get a ton of HP. So when you start leveling that up, you actually get over like quad 9 HP, which I was very excited about.
Yeah, I'm excited about that too, because like my characters barely have. Like, I mean, they're not even halfway, right? They're not even close.
Yeah, so exactly. And cool. It's really, really interesting when we get into the post game missions. Like you could presumably do all the missions beforehand, maybe not all of them. But it's definitely the kind of thing where they're like, no, you don't want to do all the missions until you unlock this.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So Orphan explodes.
He's screaming again.
He's
Yeah, we see
screaming.
his little hands.
Yeah.
Little grubby. And
His eyes and mouth are glowing.
notably, Etro's gate starts glowing.
It does.
Oh, shit, yeah.
And this is actually something I was actually thinking about just a second ago, which is like, okay, our plan is to save Cocoon. Did we just assume that when Roche said evacuate, did they mean Eden or Cocoon?
Yeah, we kind of screwed the pooch on this one a little bit.
Yeah, very, very weird. Like we're our focus is to protect Cocoon. Whoops, we just destroyed the thing that's keeping Cocoon powered and alive. And
This baby can't go anywhere or hurt anyone, so like we could have just left and like we'll come back with a plan.
You know what I was thinking
we'll figure
too?
it out. That's fine.
I think when I was streaming this, I made the joke where I was like, I've played Final Fantasy IV. I know the gimmick of this fight. We're not actually supposed to fight this guy. That's how we win, by not fighting, because it's thematically appropriate. It's like, no, we have to kill him for
You have to
whatever
kill him,
fucking reason.
and it does doom everyone in the world. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming the point is that we're trying to break the cycle. Like, well,
Yeah.
if we don't kill you, something else is going to.
Well, yeah, and that's what Bartandalus said. He's like, if you don't complete your focus now, you're damning others to just be the next group that comes to have to do this.
and that's the thing is that like I do
If you don't pay your damn loans,
and I do appreciate like the lesson, I guess. I don't want to call it a lesson, but like the point that the writers
the
of FF13
thesis.
are. The thesis, I appreciate what they're trying to say with FF13, and I think we discussed this a little bit last time, but it is kind of like, oh, but the Fal'Cie were right the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, what's the saving thing? It's not humanity. Like, sure, it was important for us to have this humanity and have this unbreakable will where we fight even beyond there being any hope. But the thing is, it's like, the Deus Ex Machina of it is like, oh, but the good God said that we're good enough. Like, we've proven to be good enough that things can be okay because you fought against the gods. But one of the gods says that's cool and bends the world to your will, I guess.
Yeah. And there's this whole thing like the entire time about like, oh, well, Daisley's a Fal'Cie. He's got all these ulterior motives. You know, he's got to be telling us just whatever to get us to XYZ. And it's like, no, do was telling the truth the
Just
whole
being
time.
straight up the whole
He was
time.
just
Like,
being
he's a
straight
fucking
up.
asshole, but he wasn't really lying. Like,
but not a liar. Yeah. And so like, very weird. Like I that's
very
not the-
selective liar, I think, at least to some degree.
Yeah.
Maybe he's kind of like interpreting our focus to his means.
Well, I mean, he was right?
yeah, but the whole thing too that I'm always confused about, like there's the Fal'Cie, right? And there's like, oh, the Pulse Fal'Cie versus the Cocoon Fal'Cie and shit. And it's like, they're all on the same team though. I don't think there's actually any differential. Like to humans, there was, and like the Fal'Cie have kind of been like, oh yes, like your enemies there, like they're separate enemies and stuff. But it's like, I feel like they all had the same goal, right? Because all of the ones on Pulse were looking for something, right? Weren't they just looking for Etro's gate?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Like,
you're right. I mean, yeah.
They all have the same ultimate goal. I mean, I guess it's kind of like Greek mythology, where like all the gods kind of just are like feuding with one another, and very petty and like weird and like flawed. I don't know. It's strange. It's very hard to wrap my head around.
Yeah, I think like, and again, I've never written an RPG. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be an armchair game dev. I could
I
never.
thought you wrote Mother 3.
Well, I mean, I don't like to talk about it. But
I've never wrote an RPG that was localized to the US.
That's right, exactly. But like, I do think some of it undermines their point.
Yeah, it's kind of like the reverse of what BioShock does. I won't go into specific detail, but anyone who's played the first BioShock, they had a really interesting way of kind of talking about will and stuff that fit into the gameplay of it and everything, and in a cool way that like when there's the big reveal, you're like, oh shit, this is like the reverse where you're like, well, yeah, like the gods won essentially. Like it worked out for humanity. But like only because of the
I guess
gods.
we'll see.
Or will it? Like like
it didn't result in as much death as that the gods had hoped for.
Or will it? I guess we'll see.
Will
in the
it?
next
Yeah, like
cutscene.
it's like I don't know.
Well, see, this thing. So they wanted to basically kill all of Cocoon. That's like why like they wanted like to bring in all this pulse menace to like eventually kill Orphan and drop all of Cocoon at once.
And maybe they did kill all of Cocoon. We'll have to see in the next cutscene.
Yeah.
Speaking of, there's a little novella at the end of the Ultimania called Final Fantasy XIII Gaiden Shosetsu, which talks about what's happening in Eden during this whole final like act.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Including with Nora, like
Oh yeah, Nora has like little things, right?
there's a whole little thing where like they're basically like both with help with Roche and there's this other bullshit where Reigns apparently used the last of his energy to turn himself into a computer, to put himself into
Jesus
the computer.
Fucking Christ, dude.
Yeah.
But besides that, Nora helps like there's a whole mission where people are like basically they're trying to hack into the gravity control like centers so they can evacuate more people.
Okay.
Which I think is kind of cool. Like that's a
Sure,
cool
yeah.
little side thing. Like how are we going to save Cocoon if like and shit like that? Because I think Reigns was kind of a combination of Reigns and Nora and what Roche said. It's like we need to like I think what what's happening is that we need to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
So wait, who turns into a computer? Roche?
Reigns.
Okay.
After
none of it makes
He's
sense.
like with his last little bit of sea powers, he turns himself
after
into
he turns
Yeah,
himself into a
Heatrons
computer and
himself.
says, "Hey kid, I'm a computer. Stop all the downloading."
Either way, the point is Orphan's screaming and exploding and dying.
And we see a shot of Eden. We see a bunch of pulse monsters still flying through the streets of Eden, and we see all the street
Gravity's
lights.
been turned off because all the power has been turned
We
off.
start seeing all the street lights go off. We see
I
a
love
shot of
this.
Cocoon from Pulse, and it just,
And it's just
gets very
dark.
dark,
Yeah.
and that's not good.
We also see the sun fallacy also shuts off.
yeah. Who turned out the sun?
We're seeing hella Etros come or whatever it is, the Firefly stuff.
Etros come.
Since the gravity's off, all of our party just kind of starts floating around as well.
Yeah, we're seeing all these like I'm guessing those are like souls or things that we're seeing floating up towards the gate because they are like little bubbles.
That's what I think too, yeah.
With crystals inside them.
It is very God, man, it's a fucking disaster, right? Everything's dark. There's no light. Gravity's off, so everybody's floating around. It's just like, shit, this
Party
is the end
glowing.
of the fucking
like, their
world.
skin is like glowing and shit. So like, oh
That's
fuck,
true,
what's happening?
yeah.
I just imagine Snow opening a bag of chips and them getting all over the place and just floating, and it's like, careful, they're ruffled.
Oh my god, they'll clog the instruments.
But all of our party grabs, they all hold hands, and then Snow looks down and sees that Vanille and Fang are still kind
It's
of
the
floating.
fake ending of Toy Story 3.
Oh my god, yeah. God, that, yeah. But we see Fang and Vanille holding hands, and they kind of just like look at each other, and
They have a plan, it seems like they've come up with on the fly.
yeah, and Vanille says that wishes can come true, but not if you just wait for miracles. Which again, I think is a pretty good, I think that's a pretty good message as well. Like you can't just wait for, but it also doesn't make any fucking sense because they literally get a miracle from a god or whatever.
Yeah.
They had to work for it though.
But yeah, she says miracles are things we make for ourselves here and now.
Yeah, you can't just wait for miracles. And then current Vanille says, ready. Narrator Vanille says, miracles are things we make for ourselves here and now.
And Vanille and Fang kind of spin around a little, like each other a little bit, and then like get engulfed in a white light, and they destroy all of the fucking creatures that are in Eden. Which
can
like I
also
don't
see-
think that they're like demons or anything. They're just animals. So what keeps them from killing every human being on Eden too?
The glow starts emanating from their brands as well.
Yeah.
Which I don't know
yeah.
if this is a Lassie power or where it's coming from.
Or Ragnarok.
I
I
think they're
feel
becoming
like in-
Ragnarok.
In my understanding of it, I would think that this means that they are using their will and their powers to like defy the gods and change the course of what's going on themselves. But again, it's
Well, they kind of I
Through teamwork, they're able to control Ragnarok or something.
I
like
think
that.
that's
Like,
kind
they're
of
able
the
to
thing. They're like a more powerful Ragnarok, and they're able to
love is
control it.
more powerful, you know,
Yeah.
is all that.
It's actually like this ending here is like it's weird because we the player don't get to do it. Like we don't get to do the crafty plan that Fang and Vanille have, but they launch a crafty plan and we get to see it happen, right?
yeah. They transform into Ragnarok, which has like hella arms as like hair.
It basically looks like they multiplied the original Ragnarok design that we saw Fang turn into. They kind of like, more Etro stuff like with the Eidolons, because it reminds me a little bit of both of their like Eidolons kind of combined in some way.
Yeah,
Little
it
elements of
looks
that.
like an Eidolon too. It's very like mechanical.
Yeah.
Cool hair, lots of hairish looking arms, lots of streamers coming off, and we see glimpses of things we actually saw like a few frames of during the focus flash. It's like, oh hey, I recognize
when
him.
we got our focus, the like weird.
We saw grainy black and white versions of this stuff.
Yeah. So Cocoon is falling toward Pulse, and because it's so large and it's in the atmosphere, it's heating up, and so the bottom of it is like has that like re-entry burn, right? That like spacecraft have when they come back into
Majora's Mask.
Majora's Mask. There's lava just like geysering out from the bottom of Cocoon, and Ragnarok just kind of dives headfirst into that lava.
Yeah, and it like
from the inside, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's from the inside of Cocoon, and it swim punches its way all the way through Cocoon's outer shell until it's on the bottom of Cocoon as Cocoon's falling toward Pulse.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and we see like all the arms punching out of Cocoon's shell, which is like a scene that we see in that grainy black and white. And I think what happens here is that Ragnarok has completed its focus, right?
Yeah.
So like, either Ragnarok has completed its focus, or like, no, it has to be Ragnarok.
I think that makes the most sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and as this is happening, like geysers of lava from like the pressure are both shooting off of Cocoon and up from Grand Pulse too.
They're like pulling. It looks like either they or the gravity is like pulling. It almost reminds me of the ferrofluid, like those little magnetic fluid, pulling up into Cocoon. But they must be like, oh, if we can turn the crystal at the same time as we're like pulling in like mass and shit, we can actually crystallize something to actually support Cocoon and keep it from crashing the Pulse.
Right, and one of the most fucking wild scenes ever. Like
it kind of reminds me a little bit of like the inverse of what happened with the frickin' Vestige,
like Bresca.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's very similar to that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we get a very, very short shot of Ragnarok like holding Cocoon up like fucking Atlas or whatever from the bottom of it, as like it's standing in lava that's coming up from the ground and pouring over top of them. And they become crystal, and in becoming crystal, the lava starts to crystallize as well.
Yeah.
And it's real wild looking.
Mm-hmm. It's real cool looking.
We see a few shots of like what looks like water and like essence of like Fang and Vanille. I think like their faces kind of like surfacing. Like it's kind of cool. Which, if you look very closely, I did not realize was in the logo for Final Fantasy XIII.
I didn't realize that either until seeing the logo. Someone also pointed out that I think they added this and incorporated this.
The very top.
Yeah. They added this and incorporated this from the Amino art for the logo. Like, I think Amino just kind of...
This whole end sequence was designed around the logo.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think he just kind of designed it that way because it was fucking cool looking, and then they're like, oh, we're actually going to put that in the game, which is sick.
Yeah. It's really, like... it's happened a couple times this season, but this is very much like technology on display here, where they're like really pulling out all the stops with like crazy graphics, right? Like, so I'm watching it back and I'm just like, wow, what a good looking game.
Back on Eden, we see the gate is starting to fade.
Yep.
Which maybe all the dead have ascended, the dead that have been accounted for. Maybe.
And the entirety of Cocoon is no longer going to die.
We see it dim, and I think if we look carefully, I actually can see Eden is actually kind of suspended by a little arm of crystal, so Eden also did not fall.
Okay, cool.
So it's not like just like Eden's just jingling around at the bottom like a peanut.
Oh my god, it fell on Bodum.
I hope LeBro's Cafe is still okay. Yeah, I'm looking back at me booting up this game for the first time. And yeah, they're like Vanille and Fang are just in the logo like the whole time. Like I didn't look at it close enough. There's also a weird like horse.
I definitely didn't notice.
There's like a weird horse in the logo as well, which I don't know what that's about.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe Odin?
Maybe it's supposed to be Ragnarok.
Yeah, maybe Ragnarok.
I mean, this is like an Amano interpretation. His stuff's going to be you can't really recognize it as Fang and Vanille.
Yeah, very, very stylized.
His stuff is very abstract, and yeah, he's not really too involved in the actual character designs anymore since the old 16-bit days, or even 8-bit days. Yeah, I think he stopped.
But yeah, so we see all of our party are actually crystallized.
Oh my god. So
because like it's kind of hard to tell with the crystal, and I kind of was looking at it, I was like, oh, that must be like Vanille or whatever, again being in crystal stasis.
Must be some friends of theirs.
Yeah, we see a bunch of crystals like on Pulse, notably.
I was gonna say there's like a presumably a time shift or like time has passed because the sun is coming up, right? And it's like a decent way into the sky, so it's like morning time. And it comes up and you see like the grandiosity of Cocoon all frozen on its now crystal pillar with its weird like waves and wings of crystal coming off of it. And in the foreground, we see the party crystallized, which is a little horrific, honestly.
Oh,
I was
absolutely. Honestly, that would have been a pretty fucking sick ending. But we do hear Vanille in narration say, "Wake up."
Yeah.
And that's when
Wake up, Neo.
we see Lightning as a crystal. And she becomes uncrystallized. It's a very like reverse Sailor Moon kind of transformation. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Luckily, like, and much like Vanille, she gets her clothes back when she crystallized, which is nice.
Thank God.
Yeah. Against Nomura's wishes. No,
and that begins the end sequence of the game. Do we want to take a break before we begin that?
Yeah.
I think so. That makes sense.
And then we can talk about the end sequence and we can just debate about what happens in this game.
Yeah. Lightning kind of just looks up and sees the crystallized structure holding up Cocoon, and she just says, they did it. They saved the world.
Did you know that before this game came out, Safer Sephiroth held the record for the most HP of a Final Fantasy boss?
Oh, really?
400,000?
Okay.
This is 10 million. Like,
oh my God.
Who had 10 million? Orphan?
Orphan.
Oh,
boy.
The like we said before, the HP doesn't matter because we kind of tear through them real quick with the stagger.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe there's a boss coming up in a future episode that has like 9 million that you feel every fucking inch of that 9 million. Because my God.
Because my God.
My God.
Yeah, so like you're saying, Lightning wakes up. She sees the crystal pillar and
Vanille says, "Wake me up.
Wake me up inside." Alex, take it.
So you guys remember when I was complaining about
Save me.
Saz's line when he said, like, let's give the people what they really want?
Yes.
He's at it again, just almost immediately, because they're all kind of looking up and they see Cocoon being held up. And Lightning, like I said, they saved the world, and Snow says, no, they gave us a new one. And then Saz says, that's one gift I'll forgive them for not rapping. What? All of a sudden they had fucking R.L. Stein come in here and write this shit? Like, Saz's mouth was as dry as cotton. Like, so stupid, man.
But yeah,
yeah, in
Hope
Japanese,
says,
he just says it's an amazing gift.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? Like, weird.
did he keep the receipt?
Look, I have also done homework the day before it was due. This is like what this is.
Yeah, Vanille. We get some more Vanille.
God, I hope like that whoever localized this game does not listen to us or doesn't know anybody who knows us. I'll feel so bad.
Yeah, I don't mean to like shit on it super hard, but
no, they obviously did like good work.
Doing.
Like it's
But if you are playing this outside of Japan, you will be hearing a nice little R&B song underneath this scene called "My Hands" by Leona Lewis.
Oh, it got me a little. Got me a little choked up. I'm not gonna lie. The ending of this is very emotional.
Like it's like very upbeat. It kind of reminds me a little of some, Beyonce type anthems. In Japan, it was something a little. I think it's a little different in tone, but it is also good. It was by Sayuri Sugawara, which is the song "Kimi ga Irukara."
I don't know that one. I'm gonna have to listen to that.
Yeah, but there's a Christmas song on that on the album too, apparently.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because much like in Dirge of Cerberus, there's a character that's at the end credits if you get the true ending that is known only as L. And it is modeled after Leona Lewis, and she's the one who is Orphan's like right-winged angel or whatever.
So we hear some voiceover from Vanille that says, "This is as much as we can do. The rest is up to you." Hope's like,
yeah, they're just consciously like through their dream communicating, I think, to them like they're looking over them like angels through this whole scene. It's very silly.
Yeah. I will say like the last shot with Fang and Vanilla I think is pretty good. But yeah, Hope says, does this mean we completed our focus? Snow says Cocoon's seen better days. Saz says, yeah, and I'd say that qualifies as a demolition. Focus complete.
This is the end of like Thor Ragnarok. We're like, yes, the prophet was fulfilled. Asgard was destroyed by Ragnarok, but everyone got off. So like, we'll just make a new home somewhere else. Like it's fine. Like
everyone can go live on Pulse.
Possibly.
Under technicality, we got away. Everyone.
We have technically completed our focus.
The best type of
I was gonna say the best type of completion. But yeah, they all have their various
things like whatever. Yeah, after says, I think that qualifies as a demolition focus complete. We hear Fang says, whatever you want to believe.
Lightning says it really is a miracle, and then Hope realizes something. His special brand, is gone.
His brand is gone. He has to start a new Twitter.
All of our homies no longer have a brand. They're no longer
no longer sponsored.
Yeah. Which I guess would also stand to reason that they can no longer use magic, right?
Oh. Yeah.
I don't think that's the case. I'm sure in future games they can still use magic or whatever.
I don't know because we don't play as them. We don't play as them in the sequels.
Oh, okay.
Maybe they decentralized
Magitech.
Magitech, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of
FF6, our next season,
we do see a cutaway where we see evacuees from Cocoon. Mostly like we see sky tanks and soldiers and
Halo drop ships.
They're landing on Pulse, and there are civilians everywhere. They're kind of like securing the perimeter, making sure the civilians are safe and stuff like that. Because as far as they know, there are monsters everywhere, which is not wrong.
This is not wrong, yeah.
But it's quite nice down here.
Tomos comes by and just rolls us all over. real weird ending.
It's the trolley cart problem with Atamos, and it's like, would you change the path of Atamos so that you could jump across him to get to a hidden mission if it meant you would be killing a bunch of citizens of Cocoon?
It is interesting. I'm watching like the ending cutscene, and it's weird seeing Lightning smile, not in a like shitty way.
Yeah,
not in a way of
a true smile.
You fool. Like.
Everyone looks very smooth in these cutscenes a little bit. There's some shininess to these like earlier cutscenes. By earlier, I mean like 15 years ago, but still very good.
Yeah, it's true.
But everyone knows that their brands are gone.
Yeah, we have some more dialogue from Vanille. I don't think we read that yet, right?
No.
Yeah.
It's easy to lose sight of things in a world as wide as this one. But if you keep going, you're sure to find what you're looking for, sooner or later.
And what are we looking for?
Yeah, what were we looking for this whole time? Because I genuinely forgot, and I saw this and I was like, oh, right, the whole fucking reason that we like had all of this going on. We see Sarah and we see Daj walking towards us, and Daj is just talking to Sarah. It's so cute, and he just says, so and there was this whole big bunch of chocobos there.
He's probably talking about his time at Nautilus. I'm sure,
he's telling Sarah about the time that his dad took him to Nautilus, and Sarah's just like, there was there. So cute, dude.
It's really good.
I would like to imagine just Nabat like, all right, your dad's not here for a few hours, so let's just kill some time.
yeah. Jill Nabat actually kind of like not cool, but like knows how to have a good time with a kid nonetheless. Like, I am gonna turn you to Crystal eventually, but
in the book, episode 0, it does seem like she has ulterior motives, but she does seem very good with kids, all things considered.
Interesting. So my initial read on her might have not been completely wrong. Or like, she looks nice.
It's like, yeah, we can go wherever you want, kid. That's fine. We got unlimited funds here at Sanctum, so we can just take this kid on his Sanctum-sponsored vacation.
As Sarah's kind of like, there was there, we see Choco Chick fly out of Saz's hair and just kind of make its way towards Daj, and we see Saz like just smiling real big. And Sarah's like, hey, look there, and Daj comes running over right up to his dad, and Snow sees Sarah and is super fucking excited. They all kind of
I started feeling emotions when I saw Snow's face. I was like, my boy.
Snow like fucking books it. Like Saz had a couple of like feet on him, like he started running first, and Snow is just closing the gap immediately, running towards yeah, like it's so good.
It's like 2 steps for him. He's like, what, 10 foot 5?
True, yeah, exactly. But yeah, he grabs Sarah and embraces her and everything. And then this part actually kind of fucking bummed me out. Hope kind of runs forward and is like looking around, and I'm like, oh my god, that's really sad. Like his mom's not gonna show up. Like she's just true dead, not like Crystal.
Well, that's what I thought too. But then his next line, he's like, oh, they're gone. And he's like, oh wait, he's talking about Vanille and Fang.
Yeah, he's talking about Vanille and Fang,
Well,
which
yeah,
is
that's what I
also
thought too, though.
extremely sad.
But I did think, though, I was like, oh, he's looking for his parents.
Yeah, Lightning also
Aw.
smiles when she sees Sarah, which is, the rare, true smile from Lightning, which is really, really nice.
It's,
I like how they did that too. Like the changes between like her, like when she smiles, you actually can like glean the emotion off of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It is weird when Sarah and Lightning embrace, because I'm like, oh, they both have the same weird pink hair. Like,
Yeah.
like it's like interesting to see like two characters with the same hairstyle ish, like right next to each other. You're like, oh, they are related, aren't they?
This ties
They
into
look
the,
related.
Yeah, this ties into the Zelda timeline actually, and this is specifically they are ancestors of Link from A Link to the Past, who also has pink hair.
That's right. That's why he only does in that one game.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, Hope's like, he says, oh, they're gone, aren't they? I guess they meant for this to be goodbye. Then again, we've changed our fates before.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, I wonder if that will be tackled in some kind of sequel game to FF13.
Yeah. Who knows?
Who knows what the future may hold?
But yeah, Lightning apologizes to Sarah.
Yeah, really nice.
It's really sweet. Like they what we know is that like the last time they saw each other was in the Vestige. But before that, like, it was just her birthday, her shitty-ass birthday.
It was like the worst string of, like, 2 days ever where, like, shit was just, like, miscommunications and not properly, like, talking it out and just everyone being fucking bummed out and then just immediate, like, catastrophe.
Things bad. But then, like, Snow completely just, like, barges in between them, like, hey, come on! Apologies can wait! We got a wedding to plan! You're not out, right? It's
kind of interesting what Sarah said, too. She says to Lightning, I missed you. And, like, her being in crystal stasis, you would think, like, it was just kind of, like, one
not
day.
Not thinking or something, yeah.
But, yeah. But yeah, Lightning apologizes, and Snow, says like, "Oh, the apologies can wait. We've got a wedding to plan."
That's always like the front of his mind. Like, come on, we don't have to worry about that. We got like our engagement's much more important. He's always thinking of, like it's the first thing he thinks of.
It's very cute though. He looks at Lightning and he says, "You're going to allow it, right? Like, I got your approval now, right?" Like, and he puts his hand on her shoulder and stuff. And
after this, like,
and
I'm not sure what else I
Hope's
can
just
do.
like, wow, you don't waste any time, do you? And really, really good.
Snow's like, no, I don't. And Saz is like, that's right, just charging, guns blazing.
Yeah.
Which is
and he says to Lightning,
I like that line because he says charging, guns blazing, because that's the first scene of the game is Lightning charging and
really
guns blazing.
nice.
And I was like, that is what our party does. Oh, that's our wrap up line where we're like, that's what we do. We charge
no
guns
plan,
blazing.
just fucking go for it.
Yeah, heroes don't need
this
plans,
voiceover,
baby.
I can't tell if it's in the scene or like a kind of like some other time, because the way it was recorded makes it seem like almost like a voiceover from Snow where it says, I swear to you I will make her happy.
Yeah, and Lightning says, I believe you, congrats. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think it's supposed to be like when they're as the camera is like panning up and tilting up to show Cocoon crystallize and stuff, they're still having a conversation, like that's the last that we see of them.
They want to make sure we hear it.
Yeah. But yeah, then we kind of start zooming in.
Chorus kicks in, that big R&B song.
Oh, it's so good. I'm telling you, like, we're kind of like blazing through it, but like the music with the ending, it was making me feel emotions, y'all.
I was getting
like,
real choked up for sure.
I was like,
yeah.
But as the camera tilts or pans up to Cocoon,
zooms in, kind of going through a bunch of crystally like veins, webbings,
on the bottom of like the base, I guess, of where Cocoon meets like this pillar.
Mm-hmm.
We go through, and it does look like, it kind of reminds me of like a weird chemical reaction that you grow, like a crystal growing type thing.
Yeah.
But in the center of it is Final Fantasy X Remastered HD. The cover art for that one. It's just the cover for that. But it's Fang and Vanille in crystal floating,
holding hands,
nucleus.
Yeah.
In a little weightless nucleus.
It's really quite wild. Also, I need y'all to take the podcast for like 3 minutes while I make something really stupid to share with y'all. I have to do this live. It will only be funny if I do it now.
Sure.
But we hear Fang's voiceover.
When prayers turn to promises, not even fate can stand in their way.
We held the light of hope in our hearts and achieved the impossible. Now we live on to greet a new dawn.
Yeah.
Which we've heard that phrase before. I think like what Sid said, something like now it's dawn. Now we
that's
awaken to
right.
meet the new dawn or something.
Yeah,
like that.
he did.
Wow, yeah.
The new era, I guess, is like here comes the new era. Like at that time, it was about him, like the new era, the new reign of power or whatever, like that.
I will say, I think it's pretty brave of them to end the game with like two of your characters are essentially dead. I mean, they're not dead, but
gone. Like it's
Just
very,
gone.
very bittersweet, and I think to me that makes this game even better.
I
Because
agree.
Yeah, they made their sacrifice partially because like
it gives
they
it
don't have
weight.
any
It gives
family
it,
or things to fight for, like really besides us themselves. Like we are the
besides
people
the
they've
new
learned to grow
family,
and
the
love.
new homies. Yeah,
Yeah, so like
they can go back and fight those Cocoon boys again.
Okay, so I want to talk for a second about this last image of Vanille and Fang floating in like the crystalline nucleus or whatever you want to call it, right?
Mhm.
Let me play something in the Discord that I just made in Photoshop.
it's the coolest.
Oh my god!
I knew it.
Holy fucking shit!
They're holding hands perfectly in the shape of the cool S.
Yeah. Oh my
I saw
god!
it, I was just like, oh,
we're
that's the
through
cool
the
S
looking
right there.
glass. This is the tesseract of the cool S that saved Cocoon. Oh my god. That's fucking amazing. I want to give a quick shout out.
Okay.
Shout out to Matumu Toriyama, director
No.
and scenario designer.
What have they done for me lately? No, I'd like to give a shout out to my homie Taylor. He was the drummer of my old band, who isn't on Twitch too much, but every now and then he'll log on, and decided to jump into my stream at like the very end of me playing Final Fantasy 13, and he was like, "What the fuck is going on?" And I was like, "I can't even begin to explain to you what the fuck is going on." So he just watched the ending of it, like. I don't think he would ever really play it, but I thought that was very funny. I'm like, there's nothing I could say to kind of... I think Zwanzig started, like, actually explaining it in, like, concise details to him, so it was pretty funny. But yeah, that's the game.
That's the game.
Now they're roommates forever.
Yeah, they're cousins in the English localization.
Just holding hands naked in a nucleus forever.
Just platonic, heterosexual hand-holding for eternity.
That's right, just like we do on the podcast.
They are kind of 69ing, guys. Just saying.
Well, at first I was gonna say, when I was gonna try to describe like what shape they're in, I was like, well, I don't want to say it's 69ing because that's crude. What should I say? And I was like, oh, they're doing the cool S.
They're doing the cool S. That's
They're
the
doing the cool
ultimate
S.
form of hard styling, is what they just did.
Once we start living in space colonies, yeah, everyone's gonna be doing the cool ass hard style in space that way.
Yo, hell yeah, dude.
Do this. I'm gonna call it. Yeah, okay. Spider-Man kiss. How about that? That's
Yeah,
a
it's
little
the
more
Spider-Man
wholesome.
kiss is a little more less crude.
And they say that zero.
I think since we're on the topic of Vanille and being crude, did we talk about her Eidolon?
being a whole bunch of arms and her having a we did talk about her reaction when the very exciting finisher, I guess.
Yeah, because I when I was doing some of the missions, I used her Eidolon at one point and got like the ultimate like thing with it that everyone is just like if you see it,
Yeah, the
like it's crude, but it's like she basically just orgasms when what's the name of her Eidolon like
that's
explodes.
why it's called a finishing move.
I was like, oh my god, so her Eidolon is like the mech from Final Fantasy VI plus a Sibian. Like it's insane, dude. What a weird choice.
Yeah, she squeals in pleasurable pain.
Yeah, very, very strange choice by the developers on that one.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Oh man, that's the end of the game though, y'all.
That is the end of
Wow.
the game.
We beat FF13.
We do get to see a cool like credit sequence where there's like a 3D modeled like projector with like a reflection of just some of the cut scenes from the game, which was interesting and cool.
Yeah.
Hear more of this music.
Yeah.
The iconic Final Fantasy font showcasing all of our favorite Final Fantasy developers.
Like Chan Hodo.
That's a straight up Star Wars name.
Yeah, for sure.
So what did y'all think about Final Fantasy 13?
I fucking loved it. I really, really like this game. It's a lot of fun. The story kind of gets away from itself in weird ways that we've talked about enough.
Yeah, I like the mythos a lot, even if the wrapping it up kind of felt clunky. Like, all right, like I get it. Like Etro mercifully kind of saved the world, but to let us save the world, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like
Etro let us have the second controller on the SNES and let us believe that we were controlling Mario.
I think if, and again, who knows, this shit could change when we play the sequels or whatever. There might be more context to it, but like taking it just as it is now in my like own headcanon, it's kind of like the final act that Vanille and Fang had was to like do this themselves and defy gods themselves somehow.
Yeah,
and like
sure.
that kind of ties it together more. It again, very clunky, very hard to understand. No matter how many Reddit posts there are, I feel like it'll always be a little a lot of loose ends that don't get neatly tied up, though they do get tied up, I would say.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, as much as like we were talking about how like some of it can be a little antithetical to what it's trying to say about like, oh, gods just save us, whatever, who cares? I think that like there's still importance to Fang and Vanille's sacrifice at the end that like keep this cycle from happening, because it wasn't
absolutely.
like the gods didn't stop the cycle, they just kind of like had mercy on us for doing it at the end, I suppose. So there's still like even though it's not all the way there, I still think it's there enough to be it still has meaning.
It's not narratively satisfying as like a really cool, perfect ending or anything, but like you said, yeah, there's enough there with it, and the main theme of it, of like fighting against fate and never giving and like losing hope but fighting anyway, is really powerful and really good, and I really like that.
Yeah, I also think thus far, at least, maybe in total, I feel like it's the darkest Final Fantasy. In that, like, the vibes are never immaculate in the entire game. Nobody's having a good time ever.
There's never a good time in it. Like,
no,
a strictly like all across the board good time.
Yeah,
like,
there's about 10 seconds of one right before Hope gets his fucking Eidolon, where they're like, all right, well, we're on pulse. That ain't so bad. Oh, Hope's having a fucking stroke. Well, that was nice while it lasted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I hung out with the Chocobo for a little bit. That was kind of fun.
Oh, that's true.
The parade was a little traumatizing, but everything afterwards.
The fucking Nautilus section is so good because it's like the most depressing part of the whole game at an amusement park, and it's just like they're doing all the rides and seeing all the attractions, and you're just like, these are the two saddest people in the entire universe.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel so crummy.
Yeah, I think this does what I was kind of hoping Final Fantasy IV was going to do, with all of like the tragedy that's in that game. And like there's still tragedy in that game and stuff, but like at every turn in 4, it felt like the stakes were just like, oh yeah, no, that's fine actually. It turned out fine.
Yeah.
Which I don't
they got
like.
the 4 crystals? It's all right. There's 4 more. Oh, they have the 8 crystals? Don't worry about it. There's 4 more.
Yeah, and it's like this is really well done, and I like that it has a very bittersweet ending. That's really emotionally like resonating. It's similar to like the ending of 10, where like the main thing with 10,
we get to create our own world again now.
Yeah, the thing with 10 and 10's ending was like, I wasn't super sad about the thing that happens, but I was sad about the thing that happens and how it affected other characters. You know
yeah, because
versus
we've grown to love
sad.
them.
This one, I am sad of what happened to the characters, because these were 2 of my main characters who I loved the most.
Yeah.
So I think that was really well done.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a good game. It's a good game.
Good game. I think everyone should probably try and give it another chance if they haven't liked it when it came out.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like if you
take it slow, because it's a very filling game.
I would say take it slow until you get to Grand Pulse, because if you don't like the plot line at Grand Pulse, you should just power through it and beat the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you may never come back to it.
And even if you don't really, if the story isn't anything for you, I think the gameplay is good enough that
Oh my
it's
god,
worth
the
playing. Like
gameplay.
the battle system, I've been thinking about it so much. I just hit like the 65-hour mark in my playthrough, doing like a bunch of the extra missions and stuff, and I'm still thinking about like the battle system and how fun it is and how challenging it can be, and like no matter how overpowered you get, the game can still throw shit at you that's like, hey, what about if this happened? How would you tackle this?
Yeah,
and it's like fun puzzle solving in a very cool, dynamic system where things are. You always have to be paying attention, and you got to look at like everything going on in a battle instead of just being like attack, attack, attack.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's maybe the best battle system in a Final Fantasy game
I would
yet.
say so. Of any of the games that I've played, I think that this is my favorite battle system.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I was actually curious. I was watching him fight some super bosses, and I was like, was Versus 13 Versus actually going to be like people could use this system against each other like a fucking Pokemon fight?
That would be so interesting. Like, and that's the kind of thing.
Actual Versus mode would be really cool with this system.
I'm just like, I'm thinking in my fucking fucked up brain of like challenge runs and like Kaizo hacks and stuff. I'm like trying to imagine like really like people could, if we had all of the tools available, like if we were modding it and wanted to make like a really fucked up like gauntlet of bosses or something, I feel like this game has so much in the sandbox of it that like you could really get fucking buck wild with it if you want. The one thing that I've been thinking of is what if it worked like Final Fantasy X, where you could swap in characters throughout. Like that would add a whole level of like, I mean, it would make the game completely broken. Like it would make it a baby's challenge, but if they like balanced around that and stuff, like
sure,
I don't know. I fucking love it. Like it's literally like I just think about the battle system all the time now. It's really cool, and I think I would like to maybe try and speedrun it one day.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna push that battle system to its absolute fucking limit coming up too, because Final Fantasy 13 is not over. This is not the last episode of the 13 season. Because
post credits, we get an option to make a new save file.
A new save,
which is not a new game plus, but it will basically create a duplicate of our last save, but now with the new Crystarium.
Yeah.
So now we can just like before we entered like the final fight, now we can just go back to Grand Pulse or anywhere else. I think that we can
go back to Eden or Grand Pulse. Yeah,
if we want to grind and like work on some more game-breaking stuff. This is like the Dark Aeon section, but now we actually have to do it. We do it effectively. We do it post-game instead.
Yeah, which is really, really nice. I think like the Dark Aeons were obviously added in not the initial release. Later. They were added later as like a challenge thing. I really like the way that this game does it, where they give you more tools to handle that stuff. And like, I think, like I was saying, I think you probably could beat some of these bosses, but there's things that really lend itself to be like, well, there's no reason to actually bang your head against it. Like, as much as I love doing that, there's definitely points where I've been like, oh, okay, like this does not make sense for me to tackle this right now. I need to go and do other stuff. Sure. And luckily, all the other stuff is super fun. I would recommend, if you are following along with the podcast and wanted to do it, you might want to make a beeline for one of the upcoming missions to get an item that Curtis alluded to earlier. I think it's, what mission is it? 55, 54?
I don't remember, but it's the one with the Ochu.
It's the Neo Ochu, which is
just go back to where we fought the sheep, right?
Yeah, it's where you find the sheep.
Not fought a sheep.
We sheared the sheep.
But what you're going to want to get is an item called a growth egg, which you just equip it to one of your party members, like in your active party, I believe. And everyone, including the party members who aren't on your team, will get double the Christogen points. Because we're about to do a lot of missions that give some pretty good CP, but it's worth getting that because at this point too, like in the game, like
it's like a lucky egg in Pokemon.
Yeah, like you don't have to like just. It's minimizing the amount of grinding that you have to do, which I am always all for. And it's kind of fucking shitty of the game to put it after a huge gauntlet of missions that is in a part of the map that we have yet to access, because you have to do a lot of fights over and over.
I was going to say, we not only are we doing that, we haven't even explored all of Grand Pulse yet. That's the crazy thing.
So the main strat for that, if you're not familiar with it, is just unlock Death with Vanille, and get into this fight, have some sentinels, have I think like have a medic, have a sentinel, and then just have Vanille over and over again try and kill this thing with death, and then you'll win the battle. And I think it can also be imperiled, and if you imperil it, you get like a little bit more likelihood of getting death to go off. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
you have earned the trophy Instrument of Change.
I also got Superstar, I think it's called. If you 5-star Orphan, you get a trophy as well.
Oh, interesting. Cool.
Yeah.
I should try and do that.
I read online an easy way to do it is just get him to that first stagger and then just use High Wind.
Nice.
Gersh.
Yeah, makes sense.
We'll talk about Grand Pulse next week.
Yes.
Right?
I guess the real question on my mind, and I'm sure several of our listeners' mind, is when are we going to talk about the Adamant Toys variants? And they'll either be next time or the time after that.
It might be the time after that.
We should just have like an episode about all of the missions and then just one episode about Adamantoids where we just talk about them for 2 hours. We're like, what the fuck?
Okay, I have not done anything with them. Again, hour 65 of my playthrough. I just went through, I guess next week, should we talk about the Titan trials?
I would love to not only talk about the Titan trials, but the areas leading up to Titan.
Yeah.
Is that technically within like the next series of missions numerically?
Yes. So the only exception is the Neo-Chew, which we can maybe... I pretty much explained everything.
It's on the
with
way.
It. Like, it's worth doing that now for the reasons I mentioned. And if you're following along just numerically with the missions, you'll have to do like a little bit of backtracking here and there, and then it'll lead you on the course that will unlock the area where you can access the Titan trials, which is a really interesting way to handle a big bunch of missions, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember that guy, Titan, lumbering around.
Yeah. Also, if you finish,
who eats Adamantoids apparently.
If you finish them trials, and you get to like the final one that's not immediately listed, you might want to hold off on that fight. Don't be like me, who spent 2 hours trying to brute force my way through it and was getting fucking owned the whole time.
I mean, getting owned is part of the FF13 experience, especially post game.
It's true. It's true. So, yeah, just don't feel bad if you get owned on that one.
Boot up that retry button, and we'll see you in 1 week from today.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Meet us back here next week for an ass kicking.
If you like more Final Fantasy 13 stuff, I was actually curious if there was an epilogue to this, because there was a prequel book to, of course, this called Episode 0, which Carl, of course, dipped into a little bit over the holidays. And I've since been reading through. There's actually one called Final Fantasy Episode 1, which I think it was released in like 2010 in Japan, and then finally came out like as a pre-order bonus for 13.2. But it takes place like immediately after the events of this game, so like just people kind of gaining their bearings and lightning, feeling some sort of dark energy. Like there's some fighting still happening on Pulse. Like the fight is not over, so check it out. But also shout out to the Lifestream.net, who we've, I think, become acquainted through Shademp during Dirge's service season.
Nice.
They did an unofficial, 10 years ago, actually, an unofficial audio drama of episode 1, which is definitely worth checking out. They did a really good job, like, casting, like, sound-alikes for the whole cast, and it's
really cool. Who did they get to do Jar Jar Binks?
Unsure. Ahmed Best just has some free time, so they just got him back.
We finally unlocked the final level of the Crystarium. We can finally have Jar Jar Binks on our team. Things are really on an upswing in this game.
Do you all have anything coming up? Getting ready to happen?
No, I don't think I do. Holy shit.
Well, in that case, Alex, would you like to overreach us?
I will overreach you.
I'm Schmorby.
Sorry.
Thank you, Masashi Uzu, and I guess Leona Lewis, and
yeah, thanks to Leona Lewis
for the music in this one.
Oh wait, speaking of Hamauzu, I recently got a gift from my fiance of the Final Fantasy VIII soundtrack, which is in this really cool like book form, and it has like it's all in Japanese, so I haven't gotten to translate it or anything yet. But I noticed something very, very interesting in the credits for Final Fantasy VIII, and that was that one of the Sopranos was Matsui Hamauzu. So I did some digging.
They were in The Sopranos?
Matsui was also a soprano in Final Fantasy VII. I'm assuming One-Winged Angel, where Alex has told us that Hamauzu himself was also in the chorus on that. And she had her maiden name at that point. So at some point, I think this is me just piecing it together. I didn't like look at the timeline and stuff, but it's like maybe at some point between the developments of Final Fantasy VII, where they sang on a chorus together, and Final Fantasy VIII, where she sang on the chorus, they got married, and I was just very excited that, you know, this like weird small world of Final Fantasy music composers and musicians has come together in a really sweet way. I really, really liked that.
And then I recalled during our Vestige episode that Hamauzu noted in his like commentary that he got his daughter to sing on the Vestige song.
I remember that.
And I was like, oh, right, they have a daughter. So I looked up her. Her name's Aya, and she is on the 13 soundtrack, but she also, her first introduction to Final Fantasy was singing in the Advent Children Choir at the age of 3.
No,
like, so
wow.
there's messing with this, like, I was like, we brought our kid to work. Let's throw her in. Like, you know,
So
but she's
cool.
also now she's old enough now that she's actually composed like soundtracks of her own, which is
really
rad. Just
amazing, so cool.
The Hamauzu family.
That's awesome.
Love it. Shout out to them.
I think when Alex told me about Aya singing on Advent Children at the age of 3, I was like, God, what a nepo baby. Just a nepotism baby.
She is the Advent child.
Yeah, so just shout outs to the Hamauzu family. They fucking rule. They're so good.
Yeah. Yeah, in case we might not hear them next season. Who knows?
Oh. When we do Final Fantasy V.
We're doing Final Fantasy 16 next season.
We're doing Strangers in Paradise. Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, we're gonna do 16. It's gonna be the first thing you're gonna hear about
it. We're just gonna make it up because it's probably not gonna be out in time.
But yeah, thank you to Masashi Hamauzu and the whole family. But yeah, be sure to give us a review, rate us on iTunes and Spotify. You can call us or text us, as always, at 530-MATERIA.
Oh yeah, if you have a better theory about what the fuck this game is about, or you have a different interpretation of it, please let us know. I would love to hear that.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say, it's not like a challenge or anything. Like, oh, you fucking come up with a better, explanation than yeah. You think you can do a podcast? I promise you can, and you probably should.
You can find us at every FNFF on Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube, and hop in our Discord. And now we pod on to greet a new cast.
much like FF13, stick in the landing.
Anything's better than crawling.
All right, goodbye.
See you on Pulse.
Bye.